Zeebrugge is one of the most common cruise stops for ships sailing from Southampton to Northern Europe, but there's one important thing to understand before you arrive. You're not really visiting Zeebrugge. Almost everyone getting off the ship is heading to Bruges. I've visited this port 3 times, on MSC Poesia, Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas, and on P&O Iona. So, in this video, I'll walk you through 10 things you need to know before your cruise arrives in Zeebrugge, including how to get to Bruges and how to plan your day ashore. One of the first things that surprises cruise passengers is that Zeebrugge is not a traditional tourist port. It's a large working commercial harbour, part of the Port of Antwerp-Bruges, and cruise ships normally dock at the Swedish quay near the ABC Tower Cruise Terminal. Because it's an industrial port, security is quite strict. You can't simply walk off the ship and wander around the harbour area. In fact, if you start walking too far away from the ship, you'll usually find port security coming over to ask where you're going. So the key thing to understand is that you'll always need transport to leave the port area. There are 2 main ways passengers leave the dock area. If you've booked a shore excursion, those coaches normally collect passengers directly beside the ship at the dock. But if you're exploring independently, you will usually take the free port shuttle first, which runs between the ship and the cruise terminal building. This shuttle simply moves passengers out of the secure port area. From the terminal, you can then choose how you want to continue your journey. Taxis, private shuttle buses, and other transport options are available for getting to Bruges. Some cruise lines also run paid shuttle buses to nearby Blankenberg, a small seaside town about 15 minutes away. From Blankenberg, you can then catch the train into Bruges. So it's worth checking exactly which shuttle you're boarding, because the free shuttle and cruise line shuttle go to different places. Before we look at the different options, it's worth knowing that most cruise passengers heading to Bruges tend to choose one of 3 main ways to get there. The simplest way for most cruise passengers to reach Bruges is the Cruise Express shuttle bus. This shuttle operates from directly opposite the cruise terminal and runs roughly every 30 minutes from around 8:30 in the morning. The journey takes about half an hour depending on traffic. It drops passengers at Bargeplein, which is the main coach parking area just outside Bruges' historic centre. From there, it's about a 15 to 20-minute walk into the main square of the city. Tickets are currently around €30 for adults, although they can sometimes be a little cheaper if booked in advance online, through sites like Get Your Guide. I'll pop a link in the description to Get Your Guide where I bought my tickets from. The big advantage of this shuttle is simplicity. You step off the ship, get on the bus, and you're in Bruges not long afterwards. Just make sure you take a photo of the return timetable posted near the shuttle stand so you know when the buses are heading back to the port. If you want to save money, another option is traveling by train. Most cruise lines run a paid shuttle from the dockside near the ship to Blankenberg, a nearby seaside town with a train station. From Blankenberg, you can then catch the train into Bruges. The train journey itself only takes around 10 minutes and is inexpensive compared with the shuttle buses. Tickets are usually around €4 each way. You can either buy them when you arrive at the station or book in advance on the Belgian rail website. However, there is one important thing to know. The trains normally run only once an hour, so if you miss one, you may find yourself waiting quite a while for the next service. Apps like Trainline or Google Maps will show the departure times from Blankenberg to Bruges and help you plan your return journey later in the day. Just remember that the train journey itself may only take about 10 minutes, but you still need to factor in the time getting from the cruise dock to Blankenberg and then back again at the end of the day. It's also a good idea to check the return times for the cruise shuttle buses as well, so you know how late you can leave Bruges without risking missing the ship. Because of that limited schedule, the train is usually the cheapest option, but not always the most convenient one for cruise passengers who have limited time in port. Another option worth considering is taking a taxi directly from the cruise terminal. A typical fare to Bruges is somewhere between €40 and €60 each way, depending on traffic. For a solo traveller, that's obviously quite expensive, but if there are 4 of you sharing the ride, it can actually work out quite reasonable. Taxis also have the advantage of dropping you closer to the centre of Bruges than the shuttle buses or train station. They can also be a good choice if anyone in your group has mobility issues and you want to minimise walking. Some drivers will even arrange a return pickup time, so you don't need to worry about finding a ride back to the port. One question many cruise passengers ask is whether they need to book a ship excursion here. In my experience, Bruges is actually one of the easiest European cities to explore independently. Once you reach the historic centre, the city is compact and very walkable. Many of the main sites are clustered around the Markt Square and the canals, and it's very easy to navigate using Google Maps. Part of Bruges' charm is simply wandering along the cobbled streets, crossing the little bridges over the canals, and discovering hidden corners of the city. So unless you specifically want a guided tour, It's a destination that works very well as a DIY cruise port day. One of the nicest things about visiting Bruges from a cruise is that you don't actually need to spend much money to enjoy the city. Once you arrive in the historic center, the best thing to do is simply start exploring on foot. Most visitors naturally begin in Markt Square, which is the main square in the heart of the city. It's surrounded by colorful historic buildings and cafes, and the Belfry Tower rises above everything, making it one of the most recognizable sights in Bruges. From here, you can easily wander through the narrow cobbled streets towards the canals. Some of the most beautiful views in Bruges are found along these canals, particularly around areas like Rozenhout, where historic buildings line the water and small bridges cross the canals. It's one of the most photographed spots in the city. Part of the charm of Bruges is simply wandering through these streets without a strict plan. You'll cross small bridges, discover quiet side streets, and pass medieval buildings that make the whole city feel like a film set. Another enjoyable thing to do is browse the many Belgian chocolate shops scattered throughout the center. Many of them actually make chocolate in the shop itself and often offer small samples to visitors, so it can be fun to step inside and see the displays. Even just walking along the canals, browsing the shops and soaking up the atmosphere can easily fill several hours in Bruges without spending anything at all. Although Bruges is wonderful to explore for free, there are also a few classic experiences that many cruise visitors enjoy. One of the most popular is taking a canal boat tour. These small boats run through the narrow canals and give you a completely different view of the city as you pass under low bridges and alongside medieval buildings. It's a relaxing way to see Bruges from the water and learn a little more about its history. Another interesting stop near the main square is the Bruges Beer Experience. This attraction focuses on the history of Belgian beer and includes a tasting at the end if you choose to visit the museum. But even if you don't want to do the museum, there's also a bar with views over Markt Square, where you can sit and try some Belgian beers while overlooking the center of the city. Food is also a big part of visiting Bruges. You'll find plenty of cafes selling Belgian waffles, along with traditional Belgian dishes, and, of course, a huge variety of local beers. Chocolate shops are everywhere as well, and if you're planning to buy Belgian chocolate as a souvenir, you'll have no shortage of options. You may also see horse-drawn carriage rides departing from Markt Square. These are a traditional way to tour the historic streets, although they are quite expensive and usually require cash. But whether you choose a canal tour, a beer tasting, or simply stop for waffles and coffee in the square, Bruges has plenty of ways to turn a short cruise stop into a memorable visit. One thing that can surprise visitors is just how much walking you end up doing. Even though Bruges is relatively compact, you still need to walk from the shuttle or train station into the center of the city. Then, once you're exploring the historic streets, you'll quickly realize that most of the city is pedestrianized. The cobblestones also make walking slightly more tiring than normal pavements, so comfortable shoes are definitely a good idea if you plan to spend several hours exploring. The final thing to remember is to leave yourself plenty of time to get back to Zeebrugge. You'll need to factor in the walk back to your transport, the bus or train journey itself, and then the shuttle from the cruise terminal back to the ship. As long as you plan your return journey carefully, Bruges is a very easy and enjoyable cruise port day from Zeebrugge. Bruges is a beautiful place to visit from Zeebrugge, but it does take a bit of planning to get there from the cruise port. Hamburg is almost the complete opposite. Ships dock right in the center of the city, and you can simply walk off the ship and start exploring. If your cruise itinerary includes Hamburg, my guide to 10 things you need to know about Hamburg Cruise Port is on screen now.